Size Matters was not only the first Ratchet and Clank game to appear on a different console, but it was also technically made by a different developer. High Impact Games was mostly made up of former members of Insomniac, including Dan Johnson, who sadly passed away during the game's production. This team really did an outstanding job at recapturing the feel of the franchise on a newer console, despite its technical drawbacks. The game is much shorter than the others, but the amount of content it has for a PSP game is pretty reasonable. What's the story? Ratchet and Clank are trying to vacation on planet Poketaru when a little girl named Luna, voiced by Nicole Sullivan, asks them for a couple of pictures for a school project. But this quickly takes a bad turn when a bunch of robots show up and kidnap her. Clank realizes that a tiny race of technologically advanced creatures known as the Technomites are responsible. So the duo sets off to try to rescue Luna, but they quickly get wrapped up in a much bigger conflict that I won't dare spoil. For a smaller studio to tackle such a beloved franchise and make a token attempt to recreate everything from the ground up is pretty bold, but it still holds up fairly well and feels welcome into the franchise. Is it as good as its PS2 counterparts? Pfft, heck no, but it makes a solid attempt and makes full use of its limitations. Most of the moves are the same, however they've just been assigned to different buttons, but they're by no means clumsy. Your arsenal is smaller, but the weapons still have basic functions. You get your blaster, shotgun, bombs, and a few really creative ones too, so players should feel right at home. There are also a lot of new gameplay features to mix things up. There are a few robot battles with Clank, a few giant Clank segments which play pretty well, and some hoverboard races which I have to admit are friggin' horrible! The controls are very fidgety, and the boost can actually have you glide over parts of the track, so it does take a while to fully get used to it. Something that's new to this series is that instead of buying armor, you collect pieces from 7 armor sets, and you can mix and match helmets with boots and such from different sets, and sometimes you'll get a new ability with a specific combination. Finally, the namesake of the title comes from this new ability where Ratchet acquires a shrink ray that can shrink himself down to hack locks, which are really grind boot segments, and he can also explore Technomite settlements. It's really cool, especially when you see how immense the scenery becomes on one of the planets, but this gimmick really isn't explored as much as it should be, but that's not to say they don't have a lot of creative uses for it, because they really do at times. Speaking of planets, some of the worlds they visit are really imaginative. Like, there's this really big robot factory, a really cool dream sequence where figments from Ratchet's imagination try to kill him, and a farm that's set on a moon. Since it's a moon, there's a very fast day-to-night shift, and each night, the sheep turn into ravenous mutants. That is really creative. The soundtrack is alright, while a lot of the sound effects are terrible, especially the sound that the ship makes when it takes off. Luckily, these were fixed with the PS2 version, which admittingly is okay, but it still has its problems. But for the PSP version, I would still say it's a must-own for your library of games. It's a small adventure on a small handheld, but the developers really knew how to think big.
Wow, thank you guys. You are so heroic. I've never introduced myself. My name is Luna.
Well, Luna, we should leave before any bad guys show up.
But I haven't had a chance to tell my friends about your heroic deeds.
You mean your friends, right?
Ratchet, that is very insensitive.
No, I mean friends. They will be surprised it was so easy to capture such stupendous superheroes.
That is very good, Luna. Now try. She sells seashells by the...
Hey! He was just trying to help!
You've both been very helpful. The cameras that have been following you have captured your every move. And now, we have the information we need.
We?
Yeah, we got him. This was just too easy.